Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. We'll let folks join in, but if you want to start introducing yourselves in the chat, you can share your name, where you're calling in from. And if you're a part of any maintenance, repair, or care projects yourself, we'd love to hear from you all in the chat. We'll just kind of let folks gather in, and then we'll get started right away. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so great to see you all here. So my name is Liliana, and I'm the Director of Operations and Engagement at the Maintainers. And we're close collaborators with RepairCafe Collective India with Himadri and Purna, who are helping put together this event. We're so grateful for their leadership and for bringing the call to gather us all here together today to learn about one another and your care initiatives, maintenance, repair, and care initiatives throughout India. So the Maintainers is a global research and practice network that brings together researchers, practitioners, and everyday people that are really focused on ideas of maintenance, repair, and care around the world. One of the things that we feel is really important is to make sure that we convene people interdisciplinarily. And so we know we have a lot more to learn from one another in regards to maintenance and repair when we all come together and make visible a lot of the work that is so often invisible. And so if you want to learn more about the Maintainers, you're invited to go to our website, www.themaintainers.org, where you can read about the history of the Maintainers and also some of the other projects that we're involved with. But for today, sustaining our initiatives, we want to pass it over to Purna and Himadri to share a welcome with you all.
Yeah. So good to go?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. I hope you can hear me. And very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I welcome all the folks who are joining from different time zones. This is an interesting conference that we were planning for the last 3 years. And with the help of maintainers, we have been able to organize it. So again, thank you all for agreeing to speak in this program. In the end, for last 25 to 30 minutes, hopefully, we'll have set aside some few discussion points. How do we broaden our objectives? How do we collaborate together in a more fruitful manner? The kind of work that we are doing, is it really bringing some transformative changes at the ground? That is a challenge in all of our minds. So I think these are very broad objectives, but hopefully we'll be able to discuss few of it, or we'll carry on this discussion. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. I'm Himadri. I'm part of RepairCafe, and I'm going to also be the facilitator for all the presenters for today. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the folks joining in from different places in the world. Just a few words about RepairCafe. So RepairCafe in India started out in 2015, and we basically started out with doing some workshops to bring together communities to try and engage people to help them start doing repair. And in 2022, we were able to leverage it to be able to work in 3 more cities of India, which is Hyderabad, Chennai, and Mumbai. And we have some speakers from all those cities today, including those from Bangalore. Today we have 11 speakers, and they are folks that we have known and worked with for a very long time now, and they will present their journeys and how they collaborated with RepairCafe. And at the end, we've set aside about half an hour for discussions in which we will dwell on the relationship between the individual journeys of these folks who have been collaborating with us and the collaborations they've had with RepairCafe. And we hope some new light can emerge from these discussions. I will also say that if you have some questions, We will take them in the questions and discussion hour, which is at the end. But if they're burning questions, do feel free to write it into the chat box, but send it across to me or Liliana, so that we can keep track of it and we can bring up those questions when we start the question hour. Post this, without wasting any more time, I would invite Meena from Chennai to come and make her presentations. Welcome, Meena.
Yeah. This is Meena, joining from Chennai. So, luckily for me, I came in touch with all these folks by our initiative where we started Repair Cafe Chennai in June this year. So, before that, I would like to emphasize more on my journey as a parent. So, I have two boys, one is 10 and one is 5. And somehow from the beginning, based on our experiences in life till then, we decided not to school them, try something different. So let me start with sharing my experience on that. So the next slide. Yeah. So these are the kids. So I would, let me brief about from where I'm coming from. So I had this regular school, 12 years of rigorous school where you just study, write exams and do nothing else. All our quarterly or annual exams and then board examinations where I used to score first rank every year and top the school in the board exams. And everything went on so well and I landed up for my college at BITS Pilani. And that is when I realized all this school education has been a big joke because I couldn't survive there with all the rote learning for the past 12 years. So then I wondered what helped me survive there. It was those skills and character that I had acquired, something that implicitly happened, not from the textbooks. That is what helped me, carried me through my hostel life and college life. It was not coming from my science or maths textbooks, but rather from my experiences and my witnessing of life around me in those childhood. So that is when I started observing what learning is actually. So, and my understanding till then has been like, so I understood that learning is an implicit, intuitive process that happens by its own, and it is something that happens as long as you live. So that theme that I gathered has been going strong with me, and it helps me in my decision making even today. And later, I observed my dad, his parenting journey and his journey in his life. So, and also other relatives around me. With those experiences, when I started having my own kids, I observed them and I realized that learning is not just a brain only process like how it is seen today. It is an embodied process. When I see a small infant trying to crawl up on his own, just seeing people around him and trying to stand up on his own. So it is an embodied process. Every organ of your body does the learning. It's not something you read and learn, or it's not a brain only process. So then every day, all the things that I have been doing. So I just had a thought like, how did I learn to make dosa? It was not like I read like a 5-mark question, do the steps one by one. It's not like that. So I have seen my mom making it, and my eyes, my hands, everything has learnt that unknowingly. And suddenly one day, when I had to make it, I made a dosa. That's all. So I think everything can be seen that way. So it's a gross disjustice if we say that injustice. If we say that you have to learn something from a textbooks to actually learn something, you do learn. Let's not underestimate ourselves here. So, and observing our kids, a human's intuitive power. So that is just amazing for us. So we did not want to cut it short by venturing into teaching them something. we forcefully like stopped ourselves from teaching them, let them make mistakes. So our 10-year-old boy, he hasn't learned languages from any textbook. He now learns to read and write, which he learned by himself. So, for example, he started recognizing alphabets from reading all the block numbers and names in parking lots. And then slowly he started learning sentences from when we travel on car, he reads all the signboards on the sides of the road. Then from our reading habit, he learned how to read. So he learned how we modulate. Now, when he reads a textbook to his brother, he reads the same way, like how we used to modulate and read stories. So implicitly that learning happened. And he started writing from writing grocery lists for us. He used to do the writing down of the to-do list or grocery list, fruits and vegetable list. That is how he started writing. Now he likes writing. So writing has not been made a punishment for him since thankfully he was not exposed to writing as a negative tool. He likes writing and he likes reading now. He reads novels. So we never had that fear that okay he may end up and becoming an illiterate. So it did happen. So and every day we keep observing them, and it just amazes us more and more. So their love and interest for trying out anything, it is so beautiful if you can spend some time and observe it. So actually, in
Thank
fact,
you.
yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Meena, we are over the time. I'm sorry, but because it's already 5 minutes. So
Okay, okay.
can you just tell us briefly about the Repair Cafe and then we'll close?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So so that is how one of as part of my learning journey, I came in touch with Repair Cafe Bangalore, Himadri and Purna, and it gave me a good opportunity, and their trust in me, like they let me learn through this at my own pace. So we ended up having our first Repair Cafe Chennai event at our home, and we were happy to have 10 participants, and we repaired around 8 to 9 items. It was so happy to see the enthusiasm in the parents and children who participated. So that led us to have the workshop it again in 3 months' time. We had it last week. It is just too exciting, and we want to do more of these. So the feedback from the parents and all the families that participated, they really appreciated the work. And I'm sure it wouldn't have happened so successfully without the help of our mentors. So these are our mentors. Yeah. And yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have questions, please put them in the chat for Mina, and we will be moving on to Mala.
Hello, hi. So glad to be here with you all. I'm Mala Kumar, and I repair words, I repair sentences because that's what I do as my professional editing job. Um, my next slide, please. Okay, so this gives you a picture of what I do, what I like to do rather. I spend a lot of time looking at children and seeing how they learn. I like to grow things and I learn from nature. And after I do all that, I write about all these things. Thankfully, many publications do publish them. So I write about things that I see, and this makes my day complete. A big part of my life is with children, or rather, writing for children. And the reason I do that is that one, I love children, two, I love writing, and third is whatever we need to do to change the world, to make it better, I think we need to start with our children. And children's books are a great way uh, to share things that we want our children to learn. So if you see this slide, there is a picture of a woman repairing something, which is a very new thing in a society where women hardly spend are shown repairing something. Then there's a lady with a spanner. It shows how women, men, children, anyone can do things like repairing regular items that we see around our house. You see a little girl walking on crutches. Again, in a children's book, you don't have to talk about that. Just the image of children doing things normally, participating in the act of living, the act of life, repairing things, making things all right when they don't go the way you want it to go. These are things that children pick up, like Meena said in the earlier slide. And so I enjoy doing this. This is who I am: writer, editor, storyteller, and a balcony gardener. Next slide, please. So these are two illustrations from a book that's called A Stitch in Time. And this was how I engaged with Himadri and Purna and the Repair Cafe in Bangalore. As a journalist, I had been following their journey, and I even wrote about them for a magazine. Many years later, they started in 2015, right? And 2018, I was in charge of editing a set of books on STEM: science, technology, engineering, math, for children, for a publication, for a NGO called Pratham Books. I've been an editor there for over 12 years. So in 2018, one of the ideas, I was in touch with Himadri and Purna for something, and then it struck me that uh, a book about repairs would be great as part of a STEM set. So that's when I reached out to them again, and we got on board another writer, Veena Prasad, and together they came up with this lovely book called A Stitch in Time. The illustrations are by a person called Ankita Kini, and she was able to stitch together, the words that Himadri and Veena wrote. She was able to put it all in the form of illustrations, which made it a book. So here in this slide, you see two children opening an iron box and saying, "Oh God, we broke it. What are people going to say? What am my father or mother is going to scold me?" And just that image, you can see that most of the kids in your house, in our house, definitely, we've all done it. We've broken something thinking we're doing good. Um, the other image is of two children riding on their cycles, and the story shows how they had a puncture and how they went to the right person to have it repaired.
Thank
Next slide, please. So this book, and any children's book for that matter, is a way of telling children that so repairs were a very common part of our lives when we were children. We never threw away anything. We always repaired it, mended it. And now more and more things are available where you can throw things out and buy a new one. So children don't know the value of repairs, and you can't blame them at all. So it's for people like all of us, people like the Repair Cafe, the maintainers, to ensure that we make repairing uh, a virtue.
తినేద్దామా
Right.
సహజ
So
తిందామా రావచ్చు
please get in touch with me, and if you want to read this book, it's available online. You can read it for free.
Thank you so much. If you have more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And I think that is such a wonderful reminder that repair is a normal part of life. Repair is happening throughout all of our lives. So thank you so much, Marlon. And next. Yes. Can we all see? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Welcome.
Thank you, Mala. And this was really inspiring. Thank you, Repair Cafe and maintainers, for bringing us all together. I'm Gaurav. Next slide, please. And I'm gonna talk about something called as Toy Hospital. Next slide, please. But before that, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm a I'm a software engineer. I have a 9-year-old daughter, so I relate with what has been being talked about here today. I love tinkering, DIY. I live in a community called Good Earth. Some of the folks are joining us today from there as well, and it's a great place to be because I find a lot of like-minded people in this community, which kind of elevates your experience and encourages you as well. I try to build some science models for children at Curiosity Science Center, which is based out of Bangalore. I started a company in US called Full Harvest, which is about saving food waste. So sustainability has been very close to me always. And I'm going to today talk about the fixing table and toy hospital in the next slides. Yeah, so this is a Good Earth, sustainably built, a lot of recycling, a focus on recycling, harvesting. As I said, really fortunate to be living here, a community in Bangalore, which is focused on these things. A lot of like-minded people. Next slide, please. So fixing table is what I want to focus a little bit on, and then we'll go to toy hospital. So this is just an illustration of what I mean by fixing table. This is a culture which we have built, me and my wife have built in our house. Anything which our daughter breaks or gets broken, or even by us, there is like a table dedicated to that, and we just go and place it on that table. If something breaks, it doesn't mean that it's lost or gone forever. If it's on the fixing table, it means we will get together over a weekend or at some point in time and fix it. So putting something on the fixing table gives you hope, gives you confidence that it may not be lost. Next slide, please. So we used to do this in our house, and this brought us to setting up this event called Toy Hospital at a larger scale, basically taking whatever we do inside the house outside within the community. So this is an event where we invited all the kids across the community to come to the toy hospital, where, if you can see in the picture, there is a toy doctor with a stethoscope and just examining a toy which is broken, and about 50 kids, more than 50 kids came, joined us. They brought their toys. We examined them. Next slide, please. And we even wrote prescriptions, which is on the left. You can see that in the yellow, about what the problem was, something where they can admit the toy with us and take this prescription back, so that on the day of discharge, they can come and take the fixed toy back. It was such an amazing experience. We all enjoyed it so much. Next slide, please. So there were more than 20 kids who brought more than 50 toys to be fixed. A lot of them were finished within the period of time. Some of them were discharged later. And as I said, this experience was, I would say, the best experience for us, and I hope it was a great experience for the kids as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. So such an interesting idea to have a fixing table, so that it gives you hope that all is not lost, and to be able to put all the broken things on it. Amazing idea. Thank you so much for that. Purva, can we have your presentation coming next?
Hello, everybody. This is Purva. And let me just tell you that though I'm speaking on behalf of Rajita, Pinky, and Learners Collective. I'm really glad to have this opportunity, and I'm inspired by the previous speakers and the work that they have done. Thank you so much. So under the Learners Collective Foundation, we have an open learning center. Sadhana is the name. And this you can consider as an extension of homeschooling. It's like a community homeschooling project. And the three pillars of this particular center are self-directed learning, where child decides how, what, and from whom he or she wants to learn. We work on the principle of democracy. We have 24 kids with us, and we consider that all the adults and children are alike. They can think for themselves. They can bring agenda on the table. We discuss, we vote, and slowly we are trying to move towards sociocracy. And I think the third biggest point, the major pillar of our learning center is community. And this is what connects us with the Repair Cafe. So I would say I was not very, very keen to be, into a sustainable lifestyle. But thanks to Rajita and Pinky, both the co-facilitators who are so ardent believer of sustainability and who are so hands-on, that I also got dragged into this. And I'm really happy that we are able to encourage 24 children along with the parents, and then maybe through the initiative of Repair Cafe, we are able to reach out to a larger community. So repair and wastage, both these things were core to the center. You can see a few photographs here from the old t-shirts. Children made backpacks. We had a bunch of young enthusiasts coming to us. They were from the maker space, and we run this activity called as Karke Sikho, wherein there is basic of woodworking, electrical, some kind of art like charcoal painting is what children explore. There is also component of food. Every Friday, children prepare food and serve it to all. And the basic motto is there can nothing come to the center which is packed in a plastic wrapper. So they have to scratch their brains and find out all the alternatives from where they can get. And they cook really good, delicious food, as you can see in the picture. And if you know, Ganpati is a big festival, and we have big statues, 20-25 feet, plaster of Paris statues being made. So we always take children out to such centers where they are made, and understand what is happening, ask questions to the makers, what is their lifestyle, what do they do after the festival is over. And what you can see now in the image is the recent Repair Cafe that happened at our center. We had a participation of close to 35, and many of the things really got repaired. Our children are charged, the parents also volunteered, and it was a great event. I think it was the third Repair Cafe that we had. Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Purva. Very interesting to hear your journey of coming to the community of sustainability and hands-on repair, and to bring to the center no waste, and to be able to encourage 24 children. That's so interesting. Just for our viewers and our audience, I want to say that Purva is coming from Mumbai, because so there are the presenters are coming from different cities in India. So Purva is coming from Mumbai. All the speakers before were mostly from Bangalore, except Gaurav, who's also from Bangalore, but had come in from San Francisco. Okay, great. Can we go to Jwala? Thank you, Jwala.
Thank you, Himadri. And I'd just like to thank both Purna and Himadri for this opportunity. It's been really exciting. And thank you to the maintainers as well. So I'm going to be speaking a little bit about how Repair Cafe has influenced our work, which has been extremely important. So I'm very different in, I think, in this space at the moment. I'm a clinician, so I'm a neuro-psychologist, and I work a lot with people who have brain injury. And one of the things that we work very closely with is dementia. So we work with people who have dementia. Could I have the next slide, please? And as part of their rehabilitation, we've been running a center called Cogworks for over 5 years now. And, you know, if all of you, I'm not sure how much all of you know, but dementia is a neurodegenerative condition. And as we know now that the number of patients diagnosed with dementia is increasing, and there's no real cure at present, and it can pose a great strain on caregivers. So what we sort of decided to do was to have an enrichment program, because this tends to help manage a lot of their behaviors and also cognitively stimulate them. So it gives them meaning, purpose. And as part of the program, we do a lot of physical and cognitive exercises. So we do a lot of art as well. Liliana, if you want to just sort of go to the next slide, because I think I've spoken a lot on this slide. You could go to the next slide. So the way Repair Cafe came in was, you could go to the slide before this, sorry. Repair Cafe offered to sort of engage with some of our patients and work with them to do art, but also what Repair Cafe brought in was another dimension of, repurposing, recycling, and also introducing repair to some of our patients, which was really nice, because initially when we were doing a lot of art with patients, some of them felt it was very childish and couldn't really relate to it. But once we started working on different mediums, we started working with, repurposing old things, brought in a lot more creativity and curiosity with our patients. So I feel it's brought in a different dimension, which brings art to them, brings cognitive stimulation, but with more meaning and purpose. And another thing that Repair Cafe also did for us, you can go to the next slide now, is we sort of paired up with Repair Cafe to apply for a grant to the Burning Man in the US. And we got this lovely little grant that was enabled us to go out into the community to spread awareness about dementia, about managing dementia. And we learned a lot through this activity, as we saw a lot of people in the community were quite keen on working with people with dementia. So we started having volunteers from the community who would help out, who used to come to the center and also help working with the patients, again, doing art, doing a little bit of repair, and working through recycling, upcycling things. So now this sort of dimension continues. And a lot of the work that we do at Cogworks is all through using waste. We use, they paint on bottles, they do a lot of DIY projects. We try and see if we can fix things. They use a lot of old cloth to work with art. And now we've also got artists who come in, and we tell them our philosophy is to work with waste. So now everyone who comes in sort of has to continue working with waste, and it's been great and very exciting. So thank you, Repair Cafe, for introducing us to this.
Thank you so much. And it's really beautiful to see that, again, repair is happening at all stages of life. And I think to see the really creative ways that you've brought not only creativity and art, but you repairing, but also utilizing things that have been deemed as waste is a really amazing way to integrate this kind of work with your patients. Thank you so much for sharing. And next we have Hamsa.
Hi, hope you can hear me.
Hello.
Himadri, thank you so much for this opportunity, Himadri and Poorna.
Yes.
I'm Hamsa from Bangalore. Next slide, please. Okay. Next one. The next, sorry. So this is me. I work as a software engineer. My journey with sustainability started when I constructed an eco-friendly house and kept a lot of space for garden. I wanted to have a very beautiful garden, so it was also part of my upbringing, where I used to see my mom always we used to go from places to places, and she used to almost transform the new place with full green, from cuttings from others, borrowing plants from others, and seeing that within 6 months to 1 year, she used to just make a very beautiful garden, and that was very inspiring for me. And then I started my own journey in gardening, and I started growing a lot of vegetables. And sometimes I had a problem: whom should I distribute this to? I got into some problems like this also. But I love gardens, and this is occupying some of my time. And then pets are my second love. I have two dogs, Shambu and Shailu, and we had a lot of cats, the two cats which I've shown. And I'm also into a lot of other hobbies like making pickles, soaps. Since I was also into gardening, I started doing composting and understood that it is much to do about growing soil than growing plants. So the soil part became very important to me. So, and then I started doing vermicompost, collecting a lot of manure and seeing how I can enrich the soil. In this journey of my sustainability and initiatives, I came across Hemadri and Purna, and I was very inspired about their work. And I had been to their hospital where they were doing the repair cafe, and I thought that I should also have such a kind of community in my place. So the first thing why I started was to have community. It was a very new place. I didn't know anybody here where I constructed my house, and I wanted to have a like-minded people coming together, and then we working together to form a community. So the first for me, the idea was to bring a community together and to see that the young minds are taught and encouraged to do yourself or hands on and fixing mindset. So in our house, it's more of a workshop. Like, we have a carpentry workshop down. We do repairs on our own. We fix our house things. We do gardening on our own. So we all have tools. Every tool available is there for us for doing our job. And this also was something which I have seen with my father, where he used to do his bike repair, car repair, and I also started, and my husband is also big time into it. So here we started with children's cycle repair, and every quarter we had this kind of workshops and repair cafe coming in, and we used to have a lot of children's who would come for the cycle repair and to learn. With cycle repair, we also expanded it to other repairs like utensils and other things. So now also I am getting a lot of requests from the community to see if I can have some more workshops, but also the cycle shops which are around got hold of this idea, and they have been putting small work, kind of campaign here and workshops here for cycle repair. Initiative where we have started with our passion to have, light garden and to enable different people to have garden on their terrace. This is a hydroponic system which we have set up in our terrace. We have growing a lot of, tomatoes, zucchinis, and all those things. And we are also bringing a kind of light aggregate which will help people to set up their gardens in terrace and apartment. And this is called Terra Treasure. That's all from me.
Thank you so much. We are at time. So, but if you have more to share, please put it into the chat. And if you have questions for Hamsa, please put it into the chat as well. I think what I especially love about your presentation is that it's not only holding kind of what we've been learning about with the intergenerational moments of repair and opportunity to repair at different ages, but that you're really taking the initiative in your own home, in your own community. And I think that having that initiative is so necessary and so important. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm sorry we had to cut you short. Next, we have Renjin, urbanist and educator.
Yeah, hi, I'm Renjin from Bangalore. First, I'd like to thank Himadri and Purna for this opportunity, and Liliana, of course, from the Makers Group. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, in this slide, I'd like to talk about myself. So as you can see, I'm a parent of two boys. I have the elder one is Adi. He's about 7 years, and Isa is just a little less than 2 years old. I have a dog, Nala, and a cat called Mihu. And I also try and be a good companion to my to Chris, my wife, who is also an architect. So I'm an educator at BMS School of Architecture, which is in Yelahanka, north of Bangalore. I teach urban design, which deals with designing of cities, and I'd like to identify myself as an urbanist. So as a family, we love to travel. I also enjoy theater. I don't do so many plays, but my classroom is also a theater space that you can do fun stuff. Then I also developed interest in portrait photography, and so I love photographing my family and my close friends at work, etc. Next slide, please. Yeah, all that I am today and the things I do can be summed up here. So what you see in this photo is it's a photograph that is taken on a Christmas Eve of 1968 by the crew of Apollo 8. It's a very powerful photo taken from the moon looking towards our world. So it looks like a tiny pearl of blue and white. So that's our world that looks like that. It makes one realize that there is only this one world. And so in all the things I love, I try and do the most I can. And this is also a reason for my association with Repair Cafe. Next slide, please. Yeah, so in this picture, we have, there are a lot of children from the Army Public School, Yelahanka. They're wearing their house uniform. These children under the Repair Cafe initiative and with the college that the institute that I work, that is BMS School of Architecture, we did a book binding exercise from newspapers. So in this room, you can see how all these chairs and desks are arranged to conduct this workshop. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so in this picture, there are a few of these books of different sizes made by the students that we saw earlier from Army Public School. Each book has a different different. Some cover page of the books are adorned with different colorful papers, beads, paper flowers, paper bows, etc. So this was very enriching exercise for me. So we were able to see how we were able to transform these young minds into something completely different thought process. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in this picture, you can see me holding a laptop and a sleeve that was made during a Repair Cafe at my institute. The inside of the sleeve is made from my t-shirt and the outside is made from my wife's dupatta. So this one is very special to me and I owe it to Repair Cafe for this wonderful memory. So with me, when I get involved and I sort of get a clarity and I'm able to transcend all this energy to my students, and that's where I can sort of in a small way create changes. So that's my journey, and it's a very special, personal and very special journey with Repair Cafe.
Thank you, Ranjan. Very interesting to hear that you think and that you said that your classroom is a theater, and from there to the point where there is the school classroom where all the bookbinding is happening. That's quite an interesting link. And of course, on the way, I think we made a visit to the moon as well. But I find it very, very interesting and well articulated. Thank you so much. Can we have Aarti coming in next? Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Aarti Hanagodu and I'm a resident of Bengaluru. I would like to express in a few sentences about my mission and vision in my life. Can you go to the next slide, please? First is maintaining self. Maintaining oneself is foundational to our mission. I do a little bit of yoga every day. I believe in practicing mindful living. I'm very choosy about where I bring my groceries from. I use hand pounded rice, dal, organic flours, unrefined ingredients, and filtered oil. I feel that all these connect me to nature and ensures that what we consume supports me and my family's health and well-being. Second one, achieving a caring and well-maintained world. Our collective efforts extend beyond individual actions to a larger mission of creating a well-maintained world. Me and my family have looked after 2 street dogs for 15 years, providing them with place to stay, food, and medical care. I strongly believe that compassion towards animals is a reflection of a compassionate society. Caring for the most vulnerable beings is part of achieving a well-maintained world. Third, maintaining society. Please go to the next slide. I would like to talk about my involvement with RepairCafe Collective Bangalore to Consumer Care Society. I am a governing council member of the Consumer Care Society. It's a non-profit organization that aims to promote consumer rights and interests in the city. Established in 2002, the society works towards protecting consumers from unscrupulous business practices while also promoting fair trade and business ethics. With a focus on education and awareness, the society organizes workshops, seminars, and camps to inform consumers about their rights and responsibilities. Please go to the next slide. Here is a picture of the calendar with 3 photos. First one is of a bedding repair shop. Second one is a clock repair shop. And the third one is a book binding and printing shop. In 2020, when Purna and Himadri contacted me through Consumer Care Society to make the RepairCafe calendar, I was very excited. First, because I myself believe in the concept of repair. And secondly, the project seemed to be quite unique. I am a resident of Banshankari second stage in Bangalore. I already knew a few repair shops in and around my vicinity. Here, the challenge was to find 12 repair shops who deserved and needed support. So I started looking for it. To my amazement, I could locate about 15 repair centers of different categories. Then we talked to each owner of the shop and explained to them about our project. We finally came down to 12 who could be put on the calendar. Lastly, Purna and Himadri came with a camera, took the photos of the shops with the owners, and also getting their name, address, and phone number. This required a lot of time and coordination. Once the calendar was ready, printed, it was distributed to the people through Consumer Care Society. Repair cafes are a powerful way to bring us closer to living in harmony with nature. The simple act of repairing helps reduce waste and keeps items in use for longer, reducing our collective carbon footprint. Finally, I would like to conclude whether it's through supporting local repair shops, fostering compassion for street dogs, or making mindful lifestyle choices, our collective actions create ripples of positive change. A well-maintained world begins with each of us contributing in small but meaningful ways. Thank you, Purna and Himadri, to give me this opportunity to express my thoughts. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much. Yes, Himadri.
Yeah, sorry. Well, thank you so much, Aarti. I just wanted to, say that you took us through this whole idea of maintaining self, looking after animals and other living beings around us, looking after society, and incredible journey Thank you for taking us through. Can we have Gangadhar ji now? He's joining us from Hyderabad, and he's going to speak to us. Gangadhar ji, please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, greetings to everybody. I'm Gangadhar Pandey, and I first like to talk about the RepairCafe and my association with that. Through some social media, I got about this news, something is happening at Lamakan, the Hyderabad Cultural Center. Then I got in touch with them and went there and I met these people for the first time. And it was something lingering in my mind, and it was so happy to see something happening on the ground practically about what is disturbing me since long. That's about the RepairCafe work. The experience is mostly painful and frightening. Why? Why? Because when I look at the body of work which is to be done, which is pending, it is yet to be achieved, and it's really frightens me. But I'm so happy that the initial steps are already taken and something well begun is half done. That's what I believe in, and I hope this Chalo Theek Kare movement goes on very well in India and beyond India. And I'm so eagerly looking forward to the major policy changes. Was we do small events, workshop, that's fine, but very little compared to the things to be done. So a lot of things needs to be done at the policy level, at multi-stakeholder approach, like the manufacturers, the community helpers, the repairers, plumbers, carpenters, etc., and the consumers, people, and the government, and mostly the market, which is tuned in a completely different way from the repair concept. Even if a small part, one part out of the 20-30 components is not functioning, they say, throw this, get a new one. And that's what really happening when you go out into the market and see. So that's very, very painful. And I want to contribute more at the policy level where it makes matters change. And also being a filmmaker, I would like to make some films about this repair movement. And I request all the members, those who are interested, to work behind the camera, in front of the camera, to get in touch with me so that we can realize this. That's about the RepairCafe. And it was a pleasure for me to design the logo of RepairCafe Hyderabad. And my direct involvement will be less because I find less time, but I'll try to squeeze in as much as possible for this cause. It's so close to me. Right to repair, extended producer responsibility, and some other new concepts that are evolving in this way. We need to still work on that. So I come to myself, how much I need to say. I don't know how much time I have. Fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gangadhar ji. Well put. I think. Sorry, I think we are already 3 minutes, and you have already talked about your interest in this whole matter and how it is frightening, and completely agree with you on this.
So give me 10 seconds.
Sorry?
Give me 10 seconds.
Yes, please.
So those interested in knowing about me, just Google my name. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Can we have Sneha coming in now? Sneha is joining us from Mumbai.
Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all the speakers and the change makers here. I feel honored to be a part of this conference and represent my group of homeschoolers. So next slide, please. I am Sneha Bakal, a homeschooling mom of 2 boys, Jolly Phonics facilitator, early childhood care educator, a birth doula, and a traditional midwife. And I love living and working in Mumbai. Next slide, please. So I think understanding the why is very important when we choose to do something in our lives. I was and I am a passionate teacher and a storyteller. So story of a young girl shifted my perspective about schooling. Laiba is a 6-year-old. She's forcefully made to wake up early. She has pressure to complete her task before and after school, memorizes spellings and tables, eat a certain type of food, even if she likes to eat eggs every day. Long hours of sitting at one place. Post school, she's supposed to attend tuitions and extracurricular activities, leaving no time for her to absorb and process the learnings of the day. Sad story, I know. So children not spending time with their family was non-negotiable for me in my parenting journey. Intuitively, I knew I was responsible to teach my kids than any other non-regulated teacher. The other aspect of me, if you can see here, I helped a mother, a fifth-time mother, to birth her baby, and all of her babies are sitting and pondering upon the placenta, which came after the baby. So yes, this was a home birth. So I love watching babies taking their first breath and feeling the warmth of their parents. I'm a doula. Doula in Greek means someone who serves the mother. In vulnerable time of labor and birth, every woman deserves another woman who understands and acknowledges her pain and supports to cope with the process of birthing. So birth is a natural process and not a medical one. As a birth keeper, I revive the ancient wisdom of midwives who help mothers birth. I have witnessed medicalized births, medicalized hospital births, which were traumatic for the baby, mother, and the family. I myself gave birth in a situation when I was 41 weeks pregnant with zero amniotic fluid. With the support of my family and midwives, I was able to birth my baby naturally. So home births are satisfying and in sync across the animal and mammal kingdom. To birth with all power in her own space, in dim lights, and having only loved ones around. Natural birth is a highly sustainable way of living because the earth thrives when the species exist. Hey, and yes, they do meet the ideology of the Repair Cafe. Yes. So being mindful about the resources available and repairing it with the best of the ability, we midwives work on the similar parameters to help the pregnancy sustain with holistic and natural remedies available in nature. To create an impact and bring about a change, we have to do something different. Creating small communities and a network of like-minded people is key. For Mumbai Muslim homeschoolers to collaborate with Repair Cafe seemed ideal as our goals were aligned to each other. We always wanted to be skill-oriented rather than textbook-oriented, as Repair Cafe gave us that opportunity. We had a 2 days training where children learned about stitching and mending clothes and toys, electricity, cycle repair, mending laptops, maintenance, and they were fascinated to learn and do more hands-on activity. The mothers, in fact, were so much more eager than the children. So much so that my 3-year-old that day told, Amma, your t-shirt is torn. I'll give it to Dadi and she will make a grocery bag. And we are enjoying that. The communication has shifted in our families because of Repair Cafe. So with the guidance of them, we would like to create a similar structure of training and self-learning. Encouraging skill to fix, recreate, reinvent, rather than invent is what we are taking from this collaboration. I thank for this opportunity. I got to speak and share my thoughts of our small efforts to bring a change in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. I really, really, really love the tie of self-sufficiency and skill building, and that this knowledge is within our community, and you're tying that again across all aspects of life, that we get to connect to skills that we know we have kept each other going for so long. So thank you so much for sharing. And last but certainly not least, we have Sudhir, who is going to share with us. I'm going to just change the spotlights. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat. After this, we're going to be transitioning to our question and answer that will be facilitated by Himadri and Purna.
Hi. Next slide, please. Hi, so I'm Sudhir. I run a makerspace called Creu. Creu means create in a language called Esperanto. Essentially, this whole journey of the makerspace. So for people who are not familiar with the concept of a makerspace is a place where people can come and make whatever they want. And the space is providing a tools for doing this and be an environment where there are other people who are similarly interested in building stuff. They can, I mean, you can, get inspired by others' ideas and stuff like that. Right. So that is sort of the motive behind Creo. And it originally started off as a place where I needed this for myself, where I wanted to tinker around with something which I had no skills for. And I mean, I was a biologist by training, and then I wanted to do some electronics and woodworking and stuff. And there was nobody who would teach me these things, and I had to struggle and learn all of these things. And essentially, after I had a bunch of tools for this, and then a bunch of my friends also pulled in to essentially buy some tools, and it was running off my garage where we were essentially tinkering around, building things just for fun, not for making a product or any of these things, just for sometimes just the joy of taking things apart that are broken. This was how it started. And then slowly I accumulated more tools, and then there was not enough space for both humans and tools in my garage, so we rented out a place and we started letting a whole lot of other people also to use the space. And in that sort of journey, like around the same time last year, I guess, where I bumped into the Repair Cafe WhatsApp group, and through another friend of mine who was in the Repair Cafe workshop, who came to the makerspace and said, you should totally connect with them and see if something can be done. And then met Purna, and then immediately we felt an immediate click in terms of how our visions aligned. And until then, like I wasn't really thinking about repair in particular. It was more like, I mean, it was more about taking it apart rather than putting it back together. And with that, I mean, I used to fix stuff for myself before, but never as something that has to be taught, and that as something that people would enjoy learning. This was not something that I had consciously thought of. And with this first Repair Cafe workshop that happened a year ago, we found quite a few different people coming, many kids as well, you would see. They, got the idea that, all the things that are, just minorly not working, you have to take it apart and look what is wrong. Even if you can't fix it, at least, look what is wrong in there. And so some of these kids, for example, they've been coming not just on, I mean, not for the workshop alone, but like every week, alternate week, they come over with something that is broken, and they come and fix things. It might be some woodworking thing. Sometimes it would be something that is metallic and that is broken and needs to be welded. They will not be able to do it, but one of us will help them to fix those things. And electronics also. Most of the repair problems we saw were just, some solder joints breaking, some wires breaking, and just, or some batteries dying, and just replacing those things solved most of the problems. And this whole process of figuring out what is wrong in a device and how to fix it was something that people enjoyed quite a lot. And to a point where they are addicted to it now, where they do keep coming, they do keep sharing their repair stories and stuff. And then fast forward a few months, and then we had this other Repair Cafe workshop targeted at kids as a 4-day workshop, where each previous slide, please. Yeah, so where we had different themes on each days. And there was like fixing wood kind of a thing on one day. Then there were fixing cycles on another day. And fixing electronics on another day. So we had these different themes, and they had a more deeper dive into all the skills that are required to fix these things. Next slide, please. So then apart from like the direct association with Repair Cafe, but with people who did get inspired by a lot of things that were happening at the Repair Cafe. Ultimately, there were these ex-students of mine who come regularly to the makerspace. They were looking at, say, these are beer bottles that they cut with like a nichrome wire, heating it, and then sanded it, polished it, and then they used an air compressor with a sandblasting gun to, and with a metal stencil which they cut themselves, and create this frosting patterns on it and stuff. So they've been doing this every time they come in. They have a bunch of bottles that they cut, and they do these things. And the top halves of these things, they convert it into lighting fixtures after fully frosting it.
Beautiful.
And
then, we are at the time. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sure.
But
sure.
I want to thank you so much and all of our presenters so much, because I think something that you shared, Sudhir, is that you have to take it apart to understand how to put it back together. And I think that this idea is very brave, and it's one that I think can translate across, again, so many different sectors. Are we willing to step into a challenging situation to be able to look at it and be able to repair it together? And I think that this kind of brings us perfectly into our Q&A, which I'll put up on the slide, some of our questions and discussions, because are we willing to step into some of the challenges that maybe we're facing, and how we can be engaging and supporting one another in collaboration to be continuing these repair movements, specifically in India, but also around the world. So thank you so much to all of our presenters. It's wonderful, wonderful to hear from you. I will put in the chat, but we have a networking document that we'll be able to use to continue staying in touch with one another, and you will receive this recording thereafter. But without further ado, let's pass it so we can get to some of these questions.
Thank you, Liliana. So should we start with the questions? Are there any questions that any of you would like to ask? It could be, it could be anything, because we are trying to sort of have an open discussion. And of course, the discussion, we would like to sort of go towards, as it is mentioned here on the slide, we want to go towards collaboration, challenges, transformative efforts, and impacts. But before that, if you have any questions, I would be happy to sort of look for and pass it on to one of the presenters. Okay, so let me just start with the question myself. If you know, this question is actually for Gaurav. I was quite, the image of the fixing table that he had. I'm just wondering, Gaurav, can you tell us a little bit more about where this thing? I mean, at which point did you realize that putting it on a table and leaving it for some time to think about it, to dwell on it, the pieces, or to dwell on the pieces can lead to some new ideas. In a way, we are trying to do the same here because all the presenters and all the ideas are on a fixing table here. And we hope to make something out of it in the future.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So I've always been a fixer myself since the age of, I would say, 7 or 8. That's what my parents tell me, those stories, I have not seen myself at 7, but my parents tell me I would be fixing something or the other. And usually I can, fix a lot of things. I mean, there's hardly a plumber or a electrician who ever comes to our house kind of a thing. But so I can do all of those things, but I need time because, of other engagements. So with my daughter coming in crying that, this is broken, I needed her to understand patience and wait for that life cycle of, fixing to take place. So that is how we got an idea of having a fixing table where if she keeps it there, she is assured that it's going to be looked into, not ignored, and it's in a special place, right? So that taught us or her patience. And sometimes multiple of those broken things together can actually coexist together and actually help in fixing the other stuff out. Like broken parts from one piece can actually go into the other. So that kind of, when we look at it on a weekend, we have all of these things on the table and we can see how they all together can become something new, right? So kind of upcycling as well. So it was a very natural process. I think it gelled well with our daughter, and gave me time that during the week if something gets broken, she would wait until the weekend before she starts making hue and cry over it. So overall, it has been working well, and I really loved how it all turned into a larger fixing table, which we called as Toy Hospital for all the kids across the community. And I was able to see that same patience because the same thing happened. We admitted the toys, but I wanted to give the kids something back in reassurance. So therefore, we had those yellow slips that your toy is admitted and you have the record of it, right? You can come and get it anytime you want. And we called them 2 weeks later. They came over and they were super happy.
Yeah, even I thought it's a wonderful idea. And already I'm thinking where in my house I should start the repair table. Where should I keep all my things which has to be repaired? Very wonderful idea.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all people are writing in the chat also. Okay, so basically when we started doing this Repair Cafe thing, we were, very clueless because obviously we are not from this field and we are coming from very different backgrounds, and the sustainability was a new idea. I got exposed in CSR activities in my organization when I was part of corporate sustainability index, something like that. That's how I came to know that something like sustainability thing works, exists. Now, my question is that as an individuals, like all of us are very excited and very interested in, and we are very much into our day-to-day sustainable living. But we want to do something for the community. When I approach, or when we as a team approach somebody, there are many inhibitions and there are many, shortcomings in everybody's mind that, oh, Willie is going to, he's going to take away all the limelight, he's going to take away all the credibility, those kind of things. So I don't know how do we address this, because if over the period of time that sort of sensibility has come in us that okay, we have to approach this person or that person, not everybody we can work with it, and we have to forgive that we are not able to work or whatever it is. So I don't know if you guys have faced something like this, or is it something which is very personal to me, or I only have faced, because when I met all of you, I don't know anything about you. You are not my friend list. So what is that you think about it?
So I think the trust comes from the fact that there is there is a goal that you can identify, and if you align with it, and you can very easily sense that whoever you're trying to collaborate with is also having similar goals. I think, after that, that doesn't become so much of a hurdle. but in say, in terms of say funding and all of these things where you were telling in terms of CSR funding, right? So those things, everybody is always suspicious because you do not know what the ulterior motive is. Here we are clear that there is no ulterior motive beyond the joy of fixing things, and I think that is where you could find the trust with the people.
Same here also. When you approached us, means as Sudhir told, even I was very much interested in repair and all. So when you came with this idea of making a calendar, I was very excited. And since our idea matched, I think that is how, as Sudhir told, we start having trust and would like to collaborate.
Like a simple thing like a recognition it becomes a challenge. Since I come from HR field, so I understand all this. But many people are working in this space, they're very good at it, but they just forget to recognize each other, or they take all the limelight, those kind of things. So you just have to beg upon it. PA, why don't you why don't you give us some space, or why don't you talk about us also, or let us also talk about you, or something like that. So I don't know from where the discipline will come, because that becomes a challenge thing, and it really puts you off that, okay, this is not the right person to work with or right organization to connect with. I mean, I don't know if, I'm right now we are facing such hurdles, which is definitely not a hurdle at all. I should be facing hurdle in putting the sustainable practices into this picture, which is a major, bigger goal. But working with individuals becomes a challenge.
Yeah. So anyways, this is a challenge, and it's an ongoing thing. I think we need to look into it. But thanks, Sudhir and Atriji, for sort of articulating how the trust is built up. There are some questions who are in the chat box, so I will just take the liberty to read them out. One is there a list of repair cafes and initiatives in India? So there is a list of which is not really finalized. We are working on it. Hopefully, so I mean, one of the initiatives is writing to all of these folks and try to bring them on one platform so that if somebody wants, they can have access to it. It's something we are working on. We will come back with it. But having said that, Repair Cafe is there in 4 cities, which is Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Mumbai. But that's not all. There are many other organizations who are doing this. And that's what I mean, that we are reaching out to them, and hopefully at some time in the future, we'll have a list. Then there's a question of, okay, so I will read out the second question, which is, I would at some time like to hear about the work being done in the maritime environments of India, by Angela Woodall. Would somebody like to take this question? Maritime?
Yeah, is it something to do with, I'm not exactly sure what that question meant, but is it something to do with oil spillage or something, or cleaning oil tanks? I'm not sure if that is a question that you're speaking about. Because if that is the case, there is a neighbor who stays just above me.
So
and
I was,
yeah. Yes, you were saying something.
I would just say that the sailing community and the maritime community are sort of the original fixers and maintainers for centuries. And so what I'm interested in is what kind of activities are happening around ports and shipping and ocean and environment and all kinds of things. So that's all.
Yeah, so I have a neighbor who says just on the above floor of mine. So he and his team, they're sort of developing a robot which sort of helps in cleaning oil spillages and cleaning what these oil tankers, wherein you cannot really put a human being right into because of all the toxic things that's there in that. So he's also into cleaning rivers, riverbeds. So his active project is, there's one project in Pondicherry in India, close in Tamil Nadu area. So he's into all this. I'll try and get his contact and I'll try and put it here if that answers your question.
Yeah, so yeah, I would also like to take what Angela just mentioned. I think maybe if see, we in India we have a whole we have an entire infrastructure of ship maintenance and ship refurbishing and everything from it. It's a whole lot of industry exists. So right now we are in Gujarat, and Gujarat is also hub of that. And even the other sea fronts like Mumbai and all, so they also have this where the refurbishment of everything from the ship. So it's basically a ship breaking yard where things are salvaged from the ship and it was reused. And there's a whole market behind it, which is slowly, I think it's going away, but that infrastructure is still there. So if I don't know if you mean that, we still haven't worked on that part, but probably we would love to talk about
it. Okay. Okay, thank you. Then there is a question which says, my question is if we are going towards making a loose collective of individuals on this call and more, which is not limited to the networking document. I'm not sure I completely understand, but are you asking about the intent? What do we intend to do? Or please, if you could tell us.
I can elaborate.
Yeah.
Yes. So the question was, what are like the next steps for the group, or what is the vision of the co-organizers with, with the people that are on the call, and also that you may have been reaching out to others, because sure, the networking doc will help with collaborations, but they'll still be in silos. But if we are to think of repair beyond our organizational labels and think of it as, a community of individuals and organizations who are thinking about repair, care, maintenance, then this could be one space where, either we meet regularly and discuss challenges, issues, share ideas, build knowledge. This could become a community space. So that is where my question was coming for. Do we intend to move in that direction, or this is just like a one-off call and that is that? Because something like this can catch, momentum, and we can build a space out of this.
Yes, I think that's definitely a great idea. I would let Liliana or Lauren also respond to it. But just from our perspective here in RepairCafe, like I said earlier, the intent is to reach out because, there are many people working on this. And the more connected we are, the more the more effective we will be to gain some kind of transformative outcomes. With somebody? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for that question, because I think it gets to just a very large question that we're having, not only at the maintainers specifically, but around the world, is how do we stay together and move the movement for maintenance, repair, and care forward? And I think that if you all are interested, there's absolutely space to continue connecting with one another, to have regular meetings. We know of different organizations that are hosting that. I'm just thinking one off the top of my head, but they're based in the state of Washington in the United States. But they have like an open conversation once a month for people to join together. It might make sense if some in this group wanted to start organizing a group like that. I think let's just share ideas and begin being in touch. and kind of take the lead of RepairCafe Collective India to kind of help guide us in the direction that makes sense to go. Because I think that as each of you spoke in your presentations, it takes initiative with one person, two person within your community, within your neighborhood. And so if we can be in touch together about how we can move that all forward, I think that's wonderful. And just in an effort of time, we can continue this conversation and continue in the chat, but we wanted to make sure to also just share a note about ways that you can stay in touch. So you can stay in touch with RepairCafe Collective India by checking out their it's a link tree. We can put that in the chat, and you can stay in touch with the maintainers by checking out our website at www.themaintainers.org. And we'd love to be in touch with you all, and we can be in touch on the networking document as well. I'll also just share a very quick note that we're in the process at the Maintainers organization looking to find other ways to collaborate and build partnerships across the world. And so if you have projects, we're very open to talking about ways that we can support one another and stay in touch. And then also, just because I want to respect the time, if we need to end, I think that we should all take a group photo. So if anyone wants to be on camera, please feel free to turn it on. And if you do not, no problem. Feel free to turn your camera off. But that way we can kind of end the meeting at the time, and then we'll continue. Yeah, Purna.
Yeah, Liliana, can I request Lauren if we can just talk about the project that we have, the fellowship that we have rolled out already. I mean, I think this is a great platform and this is a great opportunity since I was part of it. So I really love other people can take it up. Can I request you, Lauren?
I'm noticing that maybe Lauren's audio isn't working, so I'm just gonna, oh, yes.
Sorry, it's really my connectivity. It's going a little slow, so I apologize. Unmuting was a journey. But yes, so we're launching our Impact Fellowship. We close applications November 21st, I believe. And if you know anybody that is interested in applying, it's opportunity for people that are taking on initiatives in the maintenance, repair, and care field. And we're looking, it's a very short timeline, so it runs from January to early April. So we're going to support a fellow in having a specific impact project that they can document and kind of plug into the maintainers network and work with us to also kind of do that experience and skill share. And yeah, so that's an opportunity that is open. As far as like larger picture of the maintainers, kind of what Liliana was pointing to, we're very interested in seeking opportunities for partnership. To be super transparent on our own project, we are funded by Siegel Family Endowment, so we're funded by a single grant, and that grant cycle ends in July. So we're also working with our steering committee, which Purna is a part of, to think of ways in which to push forward our work and continue to have gatherings. And if anybody wants to talk to us about that more strategic, larger picture vision for the maintainers and like-minded organizations, please reach out. We're very open and very interested in workshopping that together.
Thank you, Lauren. And so yeah, there's information in the chat about the fellowship. We'd love to see applications, or if there's a joint application that would want to come from a handful of all of you to kind of continue some of these initiatives, that would be great to see as well. And yeah, let's turn, if you want to be on for a Zoom screenshot photo, feel free to turn your camera on. If you do not want to be a part of it, no worries. Please feel free to turn it off, and then we'll stop recording. But I'll just let us take a minute there, and then we'll pass it back to Himadri and Purna. Okay, cameras on. Ready? Oh, 1 second. Is everyone on who wants to be on? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Okay. Thanks all for entertaining us with that. It's nice to see all of you later on. But Himadri, I want to pass it back to you to help us close it out. And also, if we are open to continuing the conversation, but if others need to leave, we want to respect your time as well.
Thank you, Liliana. Had a wonderful time.
Thank you, RTG. Are there any, I would like to ask if there are any questions that we can address. If we are good, then
yeah,
I think we can close.
Hello.
Yeah. So there is a very interesting book which is being written by people in maintainers. It's called Innovation Delusion. It's available there online in Amazon. It's a very good compilation of things that we have just discussed, but it is more from the maintenance point of view. So if you have time, you can read this. Thank you so much. I mean, this is the inspiration for me to work with maintainers.
Thank you. So thank you, Purna. But Ranjan, would you like to say something? Would you like to ask a question?
So from all the presenters, that a particular pattern that I've noticed is the continuous engagement with the children. They seem to be paving a better path rather than engaging with the older groups, because sometimes the older groups, like even Purna was mentioning, certain frictions in these kind of things do occur. And when we start engaging with smaller children and consistently we engage with the younger group, younger age group, and I think it proves it gives a lot more becomes more fruitful in a way. So the idea of repair is constantly there in their minds, and and they would help in achieving the bigger picture of sustainability, and things like that. So I just want to share that thought.
Thank you, Ranjan. Yes, it has been. Would somebody else like to respond to that? I mean, I could say that our primary audiences have been children. We've had the best kind of traction with Repair Cafes with children, because there's a whole lot of energy, enthusiasm, and innocence, and it's great. And of course, the other set of audience that we tend to appeal to is also people who are a little aged, but we have struggled forever to attract young adults into the fold, and we'd be happy to hear some ideas from folks over here as to how we could do that. And of course, any responses to Ranjan's comment are welcome as well. Thank you.
So Gangadharji wants to say something.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Go on. If somebody has information to share about the efforts made to influence the policy at the higher level, and any constructive results on that, or what is the progress on that? This particularly with reference to outside India. Thank you.
So Gangadharji, there has been a lot of work going on in the consumer field. There is a unit by the government. It's called Competition. What is that? Competition Control of India. So
CCI,
CCI.
Competition. Yeah.
So it's CCI, and they have done an antitrust law in the court, which is against all the automakers of using the market position as as original OEMs. So like they are only encouraging the original OEMs. They are not giving accessibility of tools and parts to the third party thing. So they have. So this is the antitrust. They are basically trying to use the dominant position in the market. And so there is a report. There is a complaint by somebody against Honda, and then they opened up the case against all the automakers. So this this law, this argument is still in sub judice, but you can read about it, about this. So this is something which is going on parallelly, but not like right to repair kind of thing, but in different forums in India. Like for example, in consumer courts, there are a lot of these lawsuits are happening, which are talking about, regarding the substandard services that we get, the governance and things like that. But they are not put under an umbrella thing of like right to repair kind of thing, which is happening in Europe or in US. So
I'm more interested in knowing what's happening outside India.
oh, okay. So yeah, so I think so that would be for example, there is a separate movement going on in the European nation and the separate movement going on in the US, and they are trying to pass a legislation in different states. Like for example, in Australia recently did something, and this is to and so their individual lawsuits are also going on. So suddenly there's an awareness from the right to repair. There's suddenly awareness by everyone. Like for example, if you see the cases going against Apple for a long time, using their dominant position, or Google using their dominant position, but now this right to repair will actually an umbrella thing which will bring awareness to this entire area, like how the manufacturers are actually using their dominant position and they're not giving access of tools and spares to the informal sector, the third party, or whoever is not part of their network.
Thanks, Poorna. But would somebody else like to speak about that? Anybody else? I think Liliana has posted a few links here, which are related to right to repair.
Yeah, I'll check the links. Thanks, Liliana. And I somewhere came across the news that somebody is trying to take up it at the highest legislative level into globally, linking it to one of the SDGs. But I tried to find it out, but I could not find it. That information, if somebody can share, that will be helpful in the work. Thank you.
That I'm not aware. Yeah, so I mean, it's going very slow. Everything is going very slow pace because it's a long years of planned excellence which was put in our head. So it will take its own time. But at least awareness. So this awareness is not now. If you see even a couple of years ago, like even about 20 years ago, there was an awareness of this. So I think there are some articles which maintainers have done. So maybe we can share it and we can see how the movement has happened over the period of time. Like this, the collective of volunteers, as somebody mentioned here, the loose collective of volunteers. So they have actually, in different times, they have come together to give access to people.
Right. Thank you. I think we have now come to the very end of our session. It's been very invigorating, and there have been so many ideas which have been thrown up, and we are going to put all of those ideas on a fixing table and dwell on them for some time. And let's see how the pieces come together. And hopefully we can have such gatherings again as well. We look forward to meeting all of you who are here for patiently listening and interacting with the presenters for making the presentations, and also maintainers, all of Liliana and Lauren who are here, and all the rest of the organization which is there. And I would like to say thanks to Poorna and many of the RepairCafe folks who are here as well. Yeah, have a great day, have a great evening, have a great afternoon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Madhuri, for taking us through.